With the fantasy football championship on the line, which wide receivers are going to have big games this week? Let's take a look and see what numberFire's projections think. Is this finally Amari Cooper's week? Our numbers seem to think so. Since his 173-yard outing in Week 8, Amari Cooper has averaged just 41.8 yards per game. That's 6 games of mediocrity, and that's certainly not what Cooper owners signed up for. So why could he go off this week? Because of the Colts. Indianapolis, somehow, someway, was able to stop a professional football franchise from moving the ball last week, which probably says more about the Vikings than anything else. Because Indy hasn't stopped much this year, ranking in the bottom 10 against the pass according to our numbers. They've been fortunate to play the Vikings and Texans over the last 2 weeks, but prior to that, they'd allowed Robbie Anderson to finish 17th among wide receivers in Week 13, Antonio Brown is the top receiver in Week 12, Rashard Matthews as wide receiver 6 in Week 11, Jordy Nelson as wide receiver 8 in Week 9, and Tyreek Hill as wide receiver 8 back in Week 8. In other words, against competent passing attacks, they're giving up some big performances. Cooper is still averaging 6.2 targets per game over this poor 6-game stretch, and he may be able to finally turn that volume into a big game for fantasy owners. Down at wide receiver 15 rests DeAndre Hopkins, who's been giving fantasy owners weekly headaches all season long. That's not changing this week, as Tom Savage is stepping in for Brock Osweiler as the Texans quarterback. Savage looked competent under center for Houston this past week, and he targeted Hopkins a ridiculous 15 times when he replaced Osweiler in their contest against Jacksonville. That's good for an absurd 42% market share. If that type of volume continues into Week 16, Hopkins could post wide receiver 1 numbers. And it's not like Cincinnati's a tough secondary. They'd rank just ordinary against the pass, according to our numbers. But know that there's a risk. Hopkins has ranked higher than 17th in weekly PPR wide receiving scoring just once this year, and that happened all the way back in Week 2. Use him if you need a lot of upside, though. For numberFire, I'm JJ Zachariason.